They fabricate personal tragedies sometimes. There was, in fact, there was a story recently, just this week, that I didn't print, but there was this father claiming that because he is an anti-gay activist, a bunch of kids surrounded his 7-year-old and beat him up in the schoolyard.
And
I'm not saying for sure that it was not true, but the principal has said that he, 2 days later, was not aware of this incident, and the police said they hadn't been contacted.
Okay. Well, if that happened, it is just as bad as any other beating up incident. Because
that is
not the way that things get resolved. But if that has happened, and then there is an example of a person on the other side with a personal tragedy. And would she tell him to shut up? Shut up, because you're making it look like we're putting forth spokespeople that people can't respond to.
Right.
I'd like to see her say that. Okay. I have another whole other area to go to with this. I only listened to her for like 15 minutes, and it was
it's a whole world of hate. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, as you like to say, Dennis, a target-rich environment. Here is another crazy thing Ann Coulter said. There is a liberal war on science, she says.
Oh boy.
And that's when, like, studies come back with findings like black people are not as intelligent as white people, or women are not as good at science or mathematics as men.
Does Ann Coulter know anything besides, I know you are, but what am I?
Hang on. Let me describe the full stupid argument. She says, when scientific results like that come in, Republicans are able to simply accept the facts and move forward because they believe God created the universe and everything is the way it is for God's mysterious purpose, and it's all, whatever we discover is fine.
We can ignore the fact that evolution.
That is her argument.
You just ignore the fact that it dovetails with their entire idiom.
It ignores the fact that Republicans are extremely guilty of concocting fake science to make their case based on their preconceptions. Now, it is true that when there was a university president last year, I think, who was caught saying something to the effect of women are not as good at math and science as men, and there was a big outcry. I don't know why she cited that when she was talking about a liberal war on science, because that's not a scientific study.
Yeah, but that was just a guy saying it.
She points to the liberal outcry. Now, it is true there are many people who are liberals object to certain ideas and would very much not like it to be discovered that they're wrong about those things, right?
Okay.
But for me, the issue of I can't speak for all liberals. For me, the issue, like on that the bell curve, right? The whole study that claimed that black people were not as smart as white people, or whatever it was that it claimed to find. The issue there is, I think it's extremely dangerous to even study such things, because I think it is so important that we go on with our social convention that everybody has equal rights. But if it was discovered that people of different races had different capabilities, we should still adhere to our social convention that everybody deserves equal rights, because that is important.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not sure I'm with you when you say it's dangerous to study that.
I'm not saying don't. I think it's dangerous to jump out of airplanes for skydiving, but I don't say people shouldn't do it.
Right. You mean it's dangerous in the sense that if it were true, it would be misused and applied to areas. I think there are things that
might be discovered that would be used by those with an agenda to undermine things like equal rights. Right?
Mm-hmm. Like social Darwinism.
Right. Oh, I will sit here and defend my opinion on this. Whereas I might get into an argument with another liberal who says, oh, no, I just don't believe that people of different races could possibly have different capabilities. I've kind of gotten sidetracked on this. What is the point I'm trying to make? All right, so
Liberal
there's this
war on
crazy
science.
shit. There's this crazy shit that Ann Coulter says about science, that because conservatives are Christians, they accept scientific findings at face value. And because liberals are trying to impose their views on the world, they have a problem. I actually have to agree with her that there are incidents where there are things that... Here's an example. But I can't necessarily point to Republicans or Democrats on this. There was a scientific study a few years ago which found that the negative impact of childhood sexual abuse was less severe than people generally thought.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, the response from Congress was to sign a resolution saying that was not true.
Right. Which is
Remember that story?
Insane. Yeah.
That's bullshit, right? But that would be the sort of thing that a liberal might have a knee-jerk reaction to that finding and say, no, that can't possibly be right. I agree with Ann Coulter that when that happens, that is bad. And I even agree with her that some of that probably does happen among liberals because we got the wacky New Agers and touchy-feely religious kooks. But to put that up against the Republican actual campaign to take government appointees and put them in places like NASA and instruct them to modify the reports from the science that comes out of those places to match the Republican agenda is just horrendous.
Exactly.
It's one thing to hope that you don't find out certain things. It's another thing to say, well, even if we found that was true, there's some actual issues here about how we're going to get along, and we don't want to sweep those under the carpet, even in the face of actual facts. Right?
Right.
We should probably know those facts, but we should then go on with our social conventions that are good for everyone.
Right. One more thing about Ann Coulter.
Oh, yeah.
Before we move on.
She's got very, very long, bony fingers, is what I heard.
That's not what I was going to bring up.
Yes.
I did mention to you before the show that I couldn't take my eyes off her hands.
Yeah.
Because she's that skinny.
Uh-huh.
But
not relevant.
Not
relevant to the argument. Okay.
What I was going to say is, of course, it's great fun to sit here and bash Ann Coulter. We've been doing
it would be even more fun to actually physically do it. No,
but
joke.
we don't do that sort of thing because we are not thugs.
Right.
I am.
I know. So we've been sitting here bashing her for what, half an hour?
Yeah. Well,
20 minutes.
It's easy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Are we in some sense playing into her hands?
No, I think we started.
She gets off on publicity.
And I'm feeling good.